A U.S.-led regime change operation in Iran would be tantamount to a declaration of war on China, and here's why. China, well, they get nearly 20% of its oil from Iran, and U.S. threats of military action against Iran just prompted China to instruct its banks to dump U.S. treasuries, dealing yet another blow to the dollar. Everyone, Johnny here, Don't Speak News. Well, that was news I put up this morning on Telegram as Beijing asked banks to dump U.S. treasuries weeks ahead of Trump's China visit, warns of shock swings. Chinese regulators have recommended that financial institutions limit their U.S. Treasury holdings due to concerns about concentration risk and market volatility, according to Bloomberg News. Well, I say it's because of all the hostile moves that the U.S. has been making against China and its allies around the world. But anyway, we'll just get into it like we always do. So the heightening of rumors of a military clash between the U.S., Israel, and Iran did not appear overnight, as we know. It's been years in the making, starting right after the Islamic Revolution and the Iranian hostage crisis, when then President Jimmy Carter hit Iran with the first economic sanctions, and they've been going on ever since. Washington then used Iraq as a proxy in the 1980s to fight the Iranians in the bloody Iran-Iraq War, when Saddam Hussein, then a U.S. ally, used mustard gas to wipe out tens of thousands of Iranians. Since Israel is seen by many in the region as a hostile U.S.-British outpost in the Middle East, Iran fought back by engaging Israel through its Hezbollah proxy in Lebanon and Syria. The Israelis responded after the October 7th so-called massacre, which they blame on Iran, which they actually engineered themselves and let it happen. But anyway, by helping engineer a coup in Syria, then taking out Hezbollah commanders through military and intelligence operations, including exploding pagers. Israel also assassinated Iranian commanders in the June 2024 12-day war. Actually, that'd be 2025. Trump himself ordered the killing of Iranian General Soleimani near Baghdad International Airport on January 3rd, 2020. But now the whole dynamic appears to be coming to a head with what could be an all-out war between the U.S. and Iran. Yes, and in fact, Hal Turner reporting about all the equipment being brought over there, including, right here, 10 billion in warships, stealth fighters, and Tomahawk-loaded submarines are on Iran's doorstep, including a nuclear supercarrier, 12-plus warships, 35 Strike Eagles, and 50,000 troops. Now, there's rumors that those troops that they're sending over to Iran right now on C-17s, right here, this was 4 of them heading over there yesterday, and they disappeared from radar over the Caspian Sea. Meanwhile, another super galaxy, it's on its way to the Middle East. Now, total count on this month is approximately 13. 13 of these huge C-17 cargo planes that transport troops and, of course, supplies and equipment. Now, I've heard other rumors saying that since January, there's been over 100 C-17 flights into the Middle East, but I cannot confirm that at this time. But it wouldn't surprise me. They say this is the biggest buildup in the Middle East by the United States and their allies since the first Persian Gulf War. So there you go. Take it for what it's worth, I guess. So Treasury Secretary Bessent just told the Senate that Iran's own leaders are wiring money out like crazy because the rats are leaving the ship, with the Supreme Leader's son allegedly moving $328 million overseas as the regime's banks collapse and its currency disintegrates. The economic road is closed, the diplomatic road is dead, and the only road left leads straight through the regime, and the stage is set. The actors are in position, and that's all that's missing is the spark. And there you go. So we'll see how it goes the rest of this week. But yeah, it's definitely on. You don't, like Hal says, you don't bring that much equipment, that many troops, amass them all together for absolutely nothing, for just a bluff. That doesn't make any sense at all. So it's just a matter of when the actual triggers get pulled. Now back to this story. So the whole dynamic appears to be coming to a head with what could be an all-out war between the U.S. and Iran, which is what we just covered. The important thing to know is that this is not so much a war against Iran as it is an attempt to further tighten the screws on China and Russia. As was the case with Venezuela Before the U.S. attacked that country and kidnapped its leader, Iran represents a key source of oil for China. But whereas China only received about 5% of its total supply from Venezuela, it receives 19.8% from Iran. China could stand to lose its Venezuelan oil source. China cannot afford to lose both Venezuelan and Iranian oil. By cutting off China's access to cheap oil from its allies, Washington hopes to force China to purchase oil from Washington and/or Washington-allied countries at a much higher rate. For example, Chinese refiners save about $8 to $10 a barrel if they buy Iranian light crude over non-sanctioned Oman crude, according to calculations by a trader cited by Reuters. China has the world's largest industrial base, making it very needy of vast amounts of energy to power that industry. Take away 25%, and suddenly China's industrial economy is in real danger. We know that most wars are fought over resources, and this one is no different. No, it's not. All the talk about Iran funding terrorism and killing its own people is just window dressing meant to whip up war hysteria among the ignorant masses in America and the West. And I would hope, I would really hope that Americans are a little bit smarter than that at this point. But then again, maybe not. Maybe that's really wishful thinking. But anyway, one can hope and dream, right? So, anyway, so we know that most wars are fought over resources, and this one is no different. Of course, I just read. And all the talk about Iran funding terrorism and killing its own people is just window dressing, as we know. Washington loves terrorism when it's carried out on its behalf, like by ISIS, which is, CIA and Mossad and MI6 creation. That's why the Ukrainians, they can get away with assassinating Russian generals without a peep from Washington, and the Israelis can go into whatever country they want and assassinate the top leaders of their enemies. If Russia, China, or Iran did that, it would be called terrorism. But if the US and their allies do it, it's fine. It's just such hypocrisy, it's beyond belief anymore. International geopolitics is ruthless and cunning, and is carried out with zero regard for human life or basic morals. It's all about projecting power and grabbing resources. If China sees Washington's actions against Iran as a backdoor method of starving its fuel-dependent industrial base of needed energy resources, that's likely to be interpreted by Beijing as a U.S. declaration of war. Washington is risking the very real prospect that China may no longer see it in its interest to continue standing down in the face of increased U.S. aggression against its allies. It could afford to walk away from Venezuela, but can it afford to cut ties with Iran? No, I'd say not. And then, of course, in the latest shock move, Xi has ordered Chinese banks to dump U.S. treasuries. Major Chinese banks have already been dumping treasuries quietly, but now they're going to officially and massively de-dollarize. This is also why China has been buying gold at an unprecedented rate. The U.S., meanwhile, in an attempt to compensate for the loss of China's appetite to fund U.S. debt, has been printing money to buy its own debt. This is akin to printing your own dollars at home on an inkjet printer to pay off your credit card debt. I mean, that'd be great, right? But if we do that, we're going to prison. When they do it, it's just the Federal Reserve System. Unreal. The outcome of this insane monetary policy will be increased inflation. So Americans already struggling to pay for groceries, car repairs, rising insurance rates, and much more are going to experience even more intense inflationary economic pressures thanks to Donald Trump's reckless foreign policy and, of course, his completely messed up tariffs. This phenomenon could not be worse timed by the Trump administration as we head toward the November midterm elections, but they don't care. This is the end game. That's why they're throwing all the Epstein stuff in our face, because they just don't care anymore. They're throwing it in our face and laughing, saying, ha ha, we got away with murder, literally, and you can't do anything about it because nobody's going to prosecute us. That's what they're doing. But that's for a different video. The bottom line here is this. There's a big fight going on for global currency supremacy and a race to see who can control the most gold, minerals, and oil resources. And this is also the Great Tribulation in the end times, and we're just about to the end of it. We're a lot closer than you think. And the U.S. has achieved great wealth since the end of World War II by having its dollar serve as the world's reserve currency. But the U.S. has abused that privilege by weaponizing its currency, slapping sanctions on countries that don't play ball with Washington's policy in the Middle East and elsewhere around the world. And so I'll let you read the rest on your own. I think you get the point. So It's all here. Economic war, wars and rumors of wars, all kinds of buildup for wars. As we can see, the C-17s moving in and out of the Middle East. We've also got movements over in Iran, as I show you these right here. A new jet took off from Moscow to Bashir, southern Iran. Bashir is in the location of the Bashir NPP nuclear power plant, where several hundreds of Russian engineers work and operate the nuclear power plant. Last week, Rosatom said they would evacuate their specialists from the NPP in Bashir if necessary. So we'll have to see. Then we have one Iranian Boeing 747 cargo plane landed in Tehran from Moscow, and another Boeing 747 took off from Tehran to an unknown destination in China. And as we know, or in case you don't know, there's been large amounts of military equipment from Russia and China that have been entering Iran in recent months. So once again, it's just a matter of when. And that'll be it for this particular segment. So don't forget, don'tspeaknews.com is home base for all that we do. I put all kinds of stories here that we can't speak about anywhere else, including this one I'll be talking about later. God willing, that is. And many more just like it. All right here in one place, over 3,000 of them now at don'tspeaknews.com, which is home base for everything that we do. We are in need of support right now. Things have come up a little bit short here for this week, so if you'd like to support us, now would be a great time. Click on the channel support tab here, and all these links are also at the bottom of every article that I post. So if you want to just click on channel support, then all the links are right here as well. And we also have, just in case you weren't aware, we have Cash App, and we also have Venmo as well now. And so there are those two links. For Rumble, BitChute, Telegram, to find us around the internet, just click on that tab, and all the links to find us in different places are right there. Subscribe, Contact Johnny tab, click on that, and you can subscribe. This is also at the bottom of every article. You'll get one pop-up while you're here, but for your convenience, I also put it underneath this tab to make it easy. So just type in your email, click on subscribe, and you'll be notified every time I put up a new story. Don't Speak News at Proton Mail is how you get in touch. And that's it for this segment. God bless, take care. Johnny Storm, Don't Speak News.